my name is MK. I'm the founder of Filipino Home-Based Moms or FH Moms. What we do is we help Filipino mothers inside and outside the Philippines to get an online job, and now we are expanding to helping more Filipino mothers without access to the internet by giving them home-based livelihood opportunities.
Before kasi kami na nag-home-based job, parang living paycheck to paycheck kami. Sahod niya, oy, hati na agad yan, yung matitira. Pero nung nag-home-based na kami, doon nakapag-ipon na kami. Nakapag-church wedding kami, tapos nagkaroon na kami ng savings, nagkaroon na rin kami ng investments, tsaka insurance, nakapag-bili na rin kami ng house.
Dito kasi sa pag nagtrabaho kami sa bahay, mas maraming time na sa kids, sa kanya. Kaya, ayun. Hanggang ngayon, masaya pa rin naman ako sa pag-online job.
Since sobrang hirap, importante ko na talaga yung talim-talim ng job, na-experience ko na rin yung discrimination sa work. Until October 2018, I was invited to be an inspirational speaker, and you were one of them. So yun, na-meet kita. And then doon ako na-trigger mami. Doon na talaga doon na ako pinasok talaga yung mundo ng pag-work. You gave me hope. I remember yung experience ko sa isang company na discriminate ko. I got projects, I got freelance job, naging ambassador sa isang company. So those are some things na natutunan ko sa place.
Nag-join ako ng FH Moms last 2017, and that was the first year na nag-transition ako from corporate to working from home. So, nakita ko to sa Facebook as a mommy community for, like freelancers. So, that's why I joined. For me, FH Moms is really like a blessing. The group or this community made me realize my calling as a teacher. It's an honor to be part of this group, to impart what I know, and help other mothers out there as part of the goal of FH Moms. So, go for it.
In my job, there are many tasks. There are so many things that needs to be done in front of the computer. There's a lot of forms, paperwork, and also a lot of research. At the same time, being an event planner, I'm always on the go. And as a new company, it's also challenging whether should I hire an employee, like a regular employee, or should I just get somebody that's on call. Now, this is where FH Moms came in, like God sent. So when I hired one of the wonderful FH Mom members with the name of Katie, I was able to communicate to her what I envisioned my business to be, and she helped me to create a very positive branding of my business. So I would say having FH Moms as a support system for my business has been the best decision that I have ever made.
Hello, good evening, everyone. Good evening, moms out there. I'm here again, Mommy Jackie, and we have another free webinar. This is still part of our Customer Service 101. Actually, it's our free webinar for this month. And wait, let me share my screen. And hopefully, if you have any questions, feel free to post it down below. Also, if it is your first time to watch watch a free webinar from FH Moms, please let me know. Okay, while we're doing that, there you go. I hope that you can see my screen. If you're seeing my screen, can you please maybe indicate it in the comments and put a thumbs up or a heart or something. Just let me know that you can see my screen. And yon. Actually, this is a free webinar, and from time to time, I might need to speak in Filipino if need be. Although in our customer service 101 class, in most cases, actually, I don't usually What's this? I don't usually have Filipino as a medium of expression. Usually we have an English only policy, mainly because most of your customer service jobs would be catering to foreigner or foreign clients, usually US, Australian, and UK clients, right? So, and I think that's one of the reasons why some of you would have to go through training as well, and that's part of the topics that we discussed during our customer service 101. Language proficiency is part of it. Part of the training would be accent training, and some of you have already watched the free webinar series last month. We had three free webinars, okay, last September, where we talked about mostly pronunciation. It's just part of the accent training. We dealt with vowel sounds, consonant sounds, and then we talked about some vocal exercises that you can use in a customer service job, especially the voice accounts. Your main investment would be your vocal instrument, right? So if you don't take care of it, you don't have a job. Technically, that's how it works, okay? Now, again, if it's your first time to watch this free webinar from FH Moms, you may comment as well where you're watching this from. I've seen some of my friends actually tuning in because I shared this video. So thank you very much for watching, and I hope that you're going to pick something up from this free webinar. And again, my name is Mommy Jackie. Some of you already know me as your trainer for customer service. And the name of our training program for customer service is Customer Service 101. Okay, it's actually a 4 to 5 week training where we talk about different things that is part of customer service. That would be the skills that you have to develop as an individual providing customer service. And at the same time, we talk about our customers. Okay, we talk about culture and geography of the different types of customers you might encounter, and then we move on to our the job itself, and then we talk about the total experience and stuff by week 4 and week 5. We have a lot of exercises, mainly vocal exercises that I require from students, mainly because, again, you are required most of the time, if you're going to encounter foreign clients, you will be required to speak or maybe communicate, not just really speak, because some of you might get into a non-voice account, which we'll talk about also today. So you need to somehow still have good communication skills, okay? Now, so much about that. So I just chose this title for today. It's the untold stories of customer service. Basically, we're going to tackle myths and facts about customer service and the job itself. And then we're going to talk about market rates and opportunities. When it comes to the market rates, I've actually chosen some actual job posts, so you'd have an idea what it takes, and not just what it takes, but how much does it pay to be a customer service representative. Now, of course, when you talk about customer service, it's not merely just talking about roles with term customer service in it. There are lots of possible jobs out there that may not even have customer service in its title, but still the nature of the job would still fall under customer service. And of course, at the end of it all, we're going to have a Q&A session. If you have any questions about customer service, the job itself, working from home, or, well, not anything under the sun, okay, but something that's related, of course, to working from home, okay? I am very happy to share with you whatever I have experienced, and maybe, you know, something that you can learn from, and eventually you will also be able to learn from it. And I don't know, maybe some of you are really looking forward to working from home completely, especially in the midst of the pandemic, right? A lot of us got aware, or I guess most of us had a raised awareness in terms of working from home, all because of the pandemic. In my case, I know it's not part of the deck that I've prepared, actually. My freelancing and working from home journey started in 2018 when I got retrenched from my previous job in one of the direct selling companies here in the Philippines. Although prior to that, prior to being retrenched, I've actually used working from home or freelancing as a venue for me to take off pressure from work, okay? I don't know, but for those of you who are into sales, I am a trainer. I've been a trainer since 2006. And somehow, alongside training would be reports, analysis, and if you mix that up with sales, you talk about a lot of numbers, a lot of meetings, a lot of reports. So I would say during that time when I got to explore freelancing and working from home, I started out mostly as I would say a pastime. Oh, not really pastime, but something like I would say it's something that would deviate my attention from all the pressure of the work. Not knowing that a few months after I started freelancing, I would really end up working from home. And most of the jobs I got then were mostly freelance opportunities, mostly fixed projects. In my stay, I've had only one full-time work from home, but eventually I had to give that up because a corporate company, which is one of my current employers at the moment, offered me a job. It's something I didn't really apply for, but it was offered to me, and I felt it was a good opportunity. It is a training job, which is something I really, really love. And fortunately, because of the pandemic, now I am also working from home for this company. Aside from that, I'm also doing a freelance opportunity with FH Moms. And from time to time, if I have friends who need like help with, let's say, training decks and stuff, I'm actually available to help them out as well. So over that short, I would say, short amount of time, it made me realize that at this point, having one full-time job and freelancing opportunities on the side is something that works for me. So for some of you who are thinking about transitioning to working from home and you still have a current, I would say, a full-time job at the moment, your story might be my story too. I know we have different stories. In my case, I went with the flow, and I would say it is God who paved the way for me to go back to freelancing and working from home. Okay. So anyway, so much about me and my freelancing stuff. If you have any questions about that, you can go ahead and comment down below your questions. Okay. Now, so we're going to talk about some myths and facts about customer service and the job itself. I'm going to be presenting to you some of the common job opportunities that you can see from different platforms, okay? Some of these platforms would actually tell you already how much you're going to expect to receive depending on the job description and the job requirements. And of course, at the end, we'll have some Q&A. If you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer them later on, okay? So from time to time, I don't know. I can speak in Filipino. I don't really speak this way in a normal on a normal day. In fact, earlier today I had a training for my corporate job. I don't really speak this way. I would usually use Taglish, although that was a pharmaceutical training, no. Anyway, so before we proceed with the myths and facts, let's talk about customer service first. And we're taking up a very basic definition of customer service. So I lifted this off from Wikipedia, and it says it is the provision of service to customers before, during, and after a purchase. Now, this is a very important definition of customer service. Back when I was starting out, I always thought that when you talk about customer service, we're only talking about buying customers, okay? But nowadays, it's not really that's not really the way we're supposed to define customer service. Customer service deals with the service that you provide even before a customer becomes a buying customer. And in the same manner, you provide good customer service. Sometimes we call it after sales, right? After a purchase. In fact, even when the customer has already, let's say if they're subscribing to a monthly something subscription, right? And they decided to stop subscribing to your service, that will still not be a warrant for you not to provide good customer service to that person. In fact, again, if they cancel out a service, you still need to provide good customer service, because you never really know if that same customer who canceled out a service from you will never be a customer forever. I mean, sometimes, services also change. So there is a possibility for you to, I would say, go back to your main provider just in case, okay? And also from Wikipedia, it says there that the perception of success of these interactions would be dependent on us, if you are the employee, who can adjust yourselves, okay, to the personality of the guest. So it's never about the customer service provider, but it is about the guest or the customer. That's the reason why in our BPO or the call center industry, a lot of us had to learn how Americans, Australians, and I would say British clients actually speak. And we had to adjust to their, I would say, personality and their lifestyle, only because we cater to them and they are the customers. It's not really just because we treat customers to be always right, but it's mainly because in the center of customer service should be the customers themselves. And I think you'd all agree with me, at some point you all have experience being a customer, right? And even if it's just a 1 peso purchase, or a free, I would say a free something, a freebie that you got from a service, from a company, for example, you would still expect to get good quality customer service from whoever is interacting with you. Am I right? So it's not about just because you shelled out some money for a certain product doesn't mean that's the only time they should be providing service for you. So that goes as well for a customer service provider. If you ever land a customer service job, which is also a work from home, you have to always consider that your main, I would say, focus would be how to best serve your customer. Okay. In fact, for most of your customers, we always say that for the eyes of the customer or the perspective of the customer, you will always be representing the company. So it doesn't matter if it is your first day. And I know it's not easy for a lot of us, especially if it's your first time getting involved in a customer service job. I must admit, when I started out, I felt like, am I really in for this kind of job? Because I'm not really prepared, let's say, to get an irate caller. But you get used to it somehow. It really depends on how, I would say, it goes down to how badly you want it. And I think, sometimes it pays off that when you were younger, when your parents would somehow shout out you and maybe say bad words and stuff when you do something wrong. When we were kids, we'd always say, in one ear, out the other. So in a customer service job, I would say that can also help. Okay, so sometimes if you have irate callers and you can't really avoid that from happening, sometimes it's not even your fault. So I have that rule before. I would say to myself, in one ear, out the other. But if it, of course, at the end of the day, it's all about giving them first call resolution and solving their problem as much as possible. So even if they curse you, even if they make you feel so bad, you would still have that willingness to help them. And I think that's the central idea of being a customer service representative or a customer service provider. So always remember, it's not about your position, your length of service, I would say, your mastery on the job. It's about, being able to represent the company very well. And that goes as well if you're working from home and you're the only, let's say you're the only employee, okay, of your client. Because some of your employers, or I would say clients, when you work from home, are small businesses. So they're not really like the systematic call centers that we have here in the Philippines, who can afford to have, let's say, intricate, call systems and stuff. So, but in the end, you have to represent your client very well to your customers. In fact, you also represent yourself to your clients, right? So you also need to provide good customer service to your potential clients, whether they're already your clients or not, okay? And also, it helps to somehow have this mindset that every time you have an interaction with a customer, you somehow would only have one chance. So, because you never really know if that would really be the only chance that the company or the client will have an interaction with you or your company. And remember, you are the company in the eyes of the customer, right? So every time you interact with the customer, be it the first time, you have to somehow create a positive impression. As they say, first impressions last, right? So you never know if that customer will ever call in based on their interaction with you. They might have a very negative impression about the company or you, and hence they would just simply not call back or have any other form of interaction with your company. And therefore, that's a lost customer, right? So, in other words, as a customer service provider, a customer service representative, you are the link between the customer and your company or your client, if it's a small business, for example. Okay? Now, let's go straight to the myths and facts. Okay, I've chosen a few, and a lot of these myths and facts, I would say, are available online, so you can also read some more if you want. There's actually a lot of them, but hopefully this would, give you an idea what you're getting into. And I would say some of them may be a bit, for especially for those who are still actively working in the BPO industry or the call center industry. Some of us may still, I would say, would still feel a little bit hurt when they hear some of these myths, and because some of them are basically just misconception about the job itself or about customer service in general. And I think one of the misconceptions that we have is that customer service only involves people who are buying from your company. So by the way we defined it earlier, obviously it does not only involve buying customers. When you talk about customer service, it encompasses the service that you deliver to someone who is not yet your service, who's not yet your customer, and eventually those who you've also lost as a customer. So you're seeking somehow a relationship again with your customers. Okay. Now I see that we have a lot of people joining in, and I see comments. Some of them are, someone's from Abu Dhabi. Sambales, Tarlac, QC. Okay, thank you very much for watching. I hope we are really gonna learn a lot. And please, if you have any questions, feel free to comment it below. Someone else is in charge to capture all the possible questions, because I know we're I would say broadcasting in Facebook. We're also being seen or viewed in YouTube and other Facebook platforms of FH Mom. So there you go. Oh, somebody's watching from Japan. I forgot. Is it Kombanwa? Am I right? Sorry, Arlene, is that the correct? I forgot. It's konnichiwa in the morning, right? And konbanwa in the evening. Okay. Anyway, I'm not going to go for customer service in Japan, but I'd love to be in Japan, of course. Okay. Anyway, so first and foremost, and I would say when you talk about customer service representatives or customer service in general, we usually associate this kind of job with call center agents, right? And I would say, having had the chance to be a call center agent myself, and I've been a trainer, that's where I started my training job. Okay. To this day, I think it still hurts me when people think that call center agents are just glorified telephone operators. Okay. And I guess most of the people who are into the call center industry would still agree with me that I don't know if it's something personal on your end, but I find it, I would say it can hurt, right? When people think that you're just a simple, glorified telephone operator, and all you have to do is just say hello and one question, one answer, and stuff like that. When in fact, it's not as simple as it seems. And in fact, if it was easy, I would say that almost everyone would have probably, lasted in the BPO or in the call center industry. I've had some agents, upon taking in calls for the first time, just a few minutes of taking in calls, would just easily give up. And that's after, let's say, what, 2 weeks or even 2 months of training, all because they're having a hard time. I guess the willingness to help is not something inherent for them. At the same time, they cannot really, I would say, they cannot disregard how some customers may be treating them, right? Especially when it comes to irate, cussing customers. And unfortunately, in a call center job or a customer service representative job, I think I would say it's common that you would encounter customers who are complaining. Okay, so that's the myth. Obviously, I would still say it is a myth. It's not true that call center agents are just glorified telephone operators, just like, you just hit on something in your screen, or In the old times, when telephone operators would be like, you know, when you transfer calls from one department to another and they just dial numbers and stuff like that, it's not really the case. So yes, agents, as it says here, they do take calls, okay, and they talk, but there has to be, I would say, good communication between the agent or the customer service representative and the customer. So good communication skills is a must in this job. And when you talk about communication skills, and this is something sometimes that we have a struggle with, because we can learn the language and we can learn the accent, but in terms of the competency, especially when it comes to, I would say, understanding or listening to the customer, sometimes that's where we struggle with. So you need to have excellent, not just, or I would say, ordinary communication skills. It requires not just for you to be able to speak the language, but also to listen to the language. So sometimes that's where we actually struggle with, okay? Another thing is that as call center agents, you need to possess the cultural knowledge, attitude, and also understanding of the communication of your customers, okay? That means you need to somehow have an understanding of, you know, time zones, I would say culture and geography, how do they behave, so that you would know how to interact with them more appropriately, right? Filipino customers are very different from foreign customers, and that's something we need, I would say, to adjust with. I personally had to adjust with foreign customers because not every day in my life I had to talk to foreigners when I was studying. So definitely they have a very, I would say, a very different mindset from how we are as customers. I would say Filipinos in general are, I would say, more patient. Even if we have already complaints, we don't usually complain yet. Although nowadays, I think it's a very different story, especially with the onset of the social media. People can easily complain about the service of any particular company and just post it on Facebook or other social media platforms. Okay. Also, still in line with this myth would be, for some people actually think that we just read off scripts, right? Like we have a bunch of scripts, and then when the customer says this, you just choose this script and you read it, hopefully with justice, of course. But it's not really just like that, because customers don't usually just say verbatim scripts as well. They have different ways of expressing their complaints and their concerns to us. And some of them do not even know how to say their complaints to begin with. So that would require you to somehow negotiate. You have to also probe. You have to ask the right questions, first and foremost, to find out what the customers actually need. And then eventually reach a solution that would both satisfy not just the customer, but also your client. Okay. And when I say the client, that would also be your company, the one that's basically paying you for your service. Okay. And sometimes no script can actually anticipate some of these situations. I've had the first, and let me share this with you. Like for my case, the first ever account I've had in the BPO industry, or the, you know, the customer that introduced me to the customer service industry, our training was 2 months, if I'm not mistaken. I don't even remember if in the 2 months the language training part was already part of that. But what I do remember is just at least the product training itself lasted for 2 months. It was for a telecoms company. And mind you, the first ever call I had was not even related with our product training materials at any rate. It was just a random caller who just needed to vent out her her problems in life, okay? And there were really no scripts for that. It's not part of our training, but somehow, of course, being that you are expected to serve a caller, whether they're existing customers or not, then that means that you still have to be able to communicate with them, even if the situation is not even part of your usual scripts. Okay, so it takes more than, I would say, it takes more brain cells and skills for you to be a call center agent. Okay, but of course, it's something that you can be trained on. That's why, you know, most people who get involved in the call center industry, a lot of you have to go through training as well. Okay. Another one. Okay, this is another myth. Okay. The language barrier will cause problems, okay? Especially, this is sometimes the concern of, I would say, clients, right? They feel like hiring Filipino customer service provider might actually not help because we have, so to speak, a language barrier. But I'd like to disagree with that. Of course, English, I would say, is the joint official language of the Philippines. Like, I am a Tagalog person, but I don't know Visaya. I don't know other dialects in the Philippines. Someone who speaks Cebuano might actually know English, but not know Tagalog. So I would say English is something that, even if I would say not all of us would have really clear and, I would say, fluent in English, right? But still, somehow, the fact that most of us still somehow have a basic understanding of the English language, that is something that I would say would be an advantage to us. Okay, and I would say that it says here, in fact, that our degrees are usually taught. Those who have gone through college, for example, are in English. The Philippine Constitution is in English. We have a lot of documents, even in train stations. The announcements sometimes can be in English. The menus, our road signs are in English. So we're kind of, I would say, not totally ignorant of the English language, to the point that it can really be a very big language barrier. We can still, I would say, learn the language, and it will never be a language barrier as long as you really want to. Okay. So another one, it says here that anyone who is educated in the Philippines, in fact, anyone with a degree here, for sure will be able to speak impeccable English. Maybe we just need to adjust on the accent part, and because again, we're supposed to adjust according to how our customers actually speak, right? It doesn't necessarily mean, however, that we can never speak the language. In fact, I've proven this so far in the 2 months that I've had about 2 batches of trainees. The first batch, some of them were even saying that they really have a hard time speaking with foreigners. But I've proven that, if you're pushed, if you're pushed to the wall somehow, and you're forced to speak in English, you will find a way to be able to speak in English. So it's just a matter of practice, I would say. It's just that, I guess, in our everyday lives, we don't really apply English as a medium of expression. And that's the reason why, when you need to apply it on the job, we still struggle with it a bit. But for sure, if you do it all the time, I've had several trainees before who, in the first few months, I know they were struggling with the language. But if they continue doing it 8 hours a day for, let's say, even a month, you get used to it somehow, right? All the more if it takes you years to be in this industry, for sure. I know you probably have encountered some friends and previous classmates who may not be as good as before in English, but because they have been exposed to the BPO industry and they have been doing the job, for the longest time, they sound very different now when they talk in English, right? So it's something that they can learn, obviously. Okay. Now, another thing is that maybe for some of your possible customers, maybe one of the myths that they may encounter, this is with regard to voice customer service. Some people may think that no one uses the phone anymore, and therefore some may think that the skills associated with working in a call center can be, I would say, outdated. But in fact, that's not true. People still feel secured somehow when they call into, let's say, customer service hotlines, even if there's live chat or social media and email support available as an option. And I think it makes sense that 80% still gets their problems resolved over the phone. It's still different when you have, or you're able to talk to a live person who really interacts with you, like one question, one statement, they respond accordingly to your statement. When it's by chat, or maybe by social media, or even through email, there are a lot of possible interpretations, and I would say the lag, or the time lag, between communicating from the customer with the customer and then the CSR, it takes time, and that time can be subject to a lot of interpretation, which then leads to some problems not getting resolved. When you call over the phone, it's much faster. I would say, because you're able to talk to a live person. And I think that's mostly the reason why some customers would still prefer to call into customer service hotlines. They want to talk to a real person rather than I would say, a machine, a bot, any kind of AI, right? Artificial intelligence that may be incorporated in different systems. Okay. Okay. Here's another myth that you might not really be aware of. Outsourced call centers are all overseas. This is actually a myth. There are some outsourced call centers within, let's say, the US, the UK, and even in Australia, right? So it doesn't necessarily mean that when you say you work in a call center, an outsourced call center, it means that it's always here in the Philippines or maybe in India. I know there are some also in China and in Vietnam, for example. Some of them are locally outsourced, meaning it's outsourced in the US. So it's not true that, you know, outsourced call centers would really be taking out the jobs, because there are still outsourced jobs or outsourced call centers in the US or in the mainland. Okay. Now, some of you might also need to know, what exactly do you do in a BPO company? What is the BPO in the first place? You've been hearing BPO. BPO stands for Business Process Outsourcing. And what you actually do when you work from home is kind of like business process outsourcing, usually on a small scale. When you talk about call centers, the big call centers, this would involve, you know, bigger business, I would say, operations, right? And that would require more people getting hired. But when you work at home as a freelancer or as a work from home individual, where you have, let's say, maybe a small business client, that's still considered like business process outsourcing. They're outsourcing their business processes here in the Philippines, and you might be that person that they're outsourcing their, I would say, their tasks too. Okay. And in this case, since most clients are US based, that would require language proficiency from us. At the same time, I would say that culture fit is also something that plays a vital role in being successful in the BPO industry. Okay. Okay. Aside from the BPO, you might also encounter, it's not part of my deck, but I'm going to share it with you. You might have also encountered what we call KPO. KPO is knowledge process outsourcing. So if you notice before, most of the BPO and BPO company are just mainly customer service, and it's general, I would say, general inquiries about certain accounts, for example. It's not specific to your degree. But nowadays, if you notice, there are actually some clients who are looking for customer service related jobs, but they would require a certain degree. Like, for example, for healthcare companies requiring, let's say, that you have a medical degree. So it means that for some of you who have, for example, a medical degree, you can actually merge your degree, your college degree, with being a BPO or a customer service representative. I would say that's you can leverage on both your skills, your language proficiency, and your college degree to get a job that's more fitted for your credentials. Okay, there you go. So another thing, now this time let's talk about some other myths, particularly about customer service in general. Okay. So myth number one, it says here that most customers complain when they encounter a problem. That's not true. Not everyone who has complaints would actually take the time to get in touch with customer service. But there are about 25%, or actually less than 25%, who might actually take their time to really complain about it. So it only means that there is a possibility that there may be customers who actually have complaints, but they will never ever complain with your company, right? So it even says in this infographic that 70 to 90% of customers may not even complain. Okay, now we've said it, I think, in my free webinar back in, I forgot if it was August or July, we said that we consider complaints as a gift, right? So complaints can, in a positive perspective, can be considered as a gift because that can help companies improve their services and eventually have them get more clients in the future, right? Okay, so that's myth number one. Myth number two, again, in customer service, it says that if we receive more complaints, we have to spend more money to keep our customers happy. Now, the reality is that 80% of customer service calls sometimes are actually no-brainers. I'm not saying totally zero brainer, okay? It only means that it's easy to solve and are actually resolved within minutes, okay? So it's not about spending more resources right away. Sometimes it really boils down to how willing are you to help the customer and really listen to the customer's concern, right? Here's a tip that they give in this reference that I got. For any customer worth more than $20 a year, this since most of our customers are in the US, right? It's always cheaper to answer their needs and keep them happy than to lose their business. In fact, when you talk about customer service, when a customer, let's say, decides to cancel their service with your company, you don't just look at the single transaction. You talk about what we call the lifetime customer value. So we have to look into the potential business that we have with that particular customer, right? And that may be more than just one transaction. It may be worth years of services, years of relationship with the customer for your company, right? So it's not true that if you receive more complaints, you have to spend more money, because it's not really just about, having more money to spend on making customers happy. I think it boils down to the kind of service that we deliver at the end of the day. Okay. Okay. Another myth in the BPO industry or in the customer service world is that they say that fewer calls means we're getting better service and better experience to our customers. And we said earlier in myth number one, right? Part of the reality, we said that some customers who actually have complaints never even bother to call customer service or never even bother to get in touch with customer service. So that said, it means that it is possible that fewer complaints may actually mean there's a large pool of silent, unhappy customers. And I don't know if you're the type of customer who is like that, but a lot of customers, when they're really not happy with the service that you're providing, they would just simply stop. That's it. No questions asked. They will just simply stop and switch to another service provider. Okay? So it says in the tip, unless you interact more often with your customers to find out the real number of problems, you aren't able to respond and make improvements to your products and service. So it's never an indication. The fewer number of calls doesn't mean that we are giving them better service or better experience. It might be that we're actually losing more customers. Okay? Okay, myth number 4 in customer service. More calls, on the other hand, so this is contrary to the other perspective, more calls mean lower profits. Okay, that's not also true, because they say that in reality, the return on investment for every additional complaint handled and resolved is at least 100% or even more. In fact, it can profit up to 125%. And I don't know about you, I'm not the type of person who would always call into customer service, but if I need to, that means that I really have a big concern that would somehow prompt me to call into customer service. And if my concern gets resolved, you're likely to repeat the business with them, and not just repeat the business. If the service that you got from that customer service representative was really, I would say, outstanding, you get to a point where you're actually going to share it with other people, like especially when people start looking for a service provider for a certain, let's say, service, right? Okay, myth number 5, it's better to invest in marketing and advertising than customer service. So this is also a myth. The reality is that it costs at least 5 times as much to win a customer as it does to keep an old one. And in fact, sometimes we think it's always good to just, get new customers and more customers and more customers. Nothing bad about getting or winning new customers, but sometimes it's always best to make sure that you have or you keep your old ones happy with your service, right? As they say, the best way to grow your business or one's business is to keep the customers that they already have. In fact, when people stay loyal to a certain company, most often than not, they also share that with their friends and their family enough to grow your business or your, I would say, your employer or your client's business. Okay? So, most of the time, the reason why they stay with us, it's basically because of good customer service. Customers feel that the company is actually listening to customers. So, although of course it's best if a company will be able to invest not just in customer service, but also in marketing and in advertising, because we want to win new customers. But I would say it's not about choosing one of the two. Like, do I choose to win a new customer and forget about the existing ones? I think it has to be a combination of the two. You need to be able to win new customers and also retain the old ones, right? Okay, so those are the myths. Somehow, I hope that will give you an idea what are the usual myths that you might encounter in line with customer service and the and customer service jobs. Now, this time I'll be sharing with you some actual job posts that I saw online. Some of them will talk about different I would say customer service jobs first, so you have an idea. Because based on my previous batch of trainees, some of them do not really know when you talk about customer service, they always think the only available position for a customer service related job would be for a customer service representative or maybe a customer support. But there are actually several kinds of job there out there that can still be customer service related. And in fact, if we go back to how customer service is defined, all of us freelancers and technically all employees are actually customer service providers. Now, our it will just differ in terms of who do we treat as customers. So we also have, I would say, internal customers in our respective companies. So the people that we work with are actually our internal customers as well. And the way we treat them, we should also have good customer service between colleagues, between our workmates, right? Okay. So what are the common question? What are the common jobs? Now, before we go to the common jobs, some of you might have questions. Questions. Anyone who has questions, you can go ahead and post it, and then I'll answer it. But if you don't have any questions for now, we can proceed. Okay. Let's see. Are there any questions? I think there's none. You're also quiet. Of course, you're also quiet. I can't really hear you. So just put down your comments. That's the only way I can really communicate with you at this point. So anyway, let's see. Let's go here. So some of you are actually afraid of applying for a customer service job, thinking that everything is just voice. When you say voice, it means that you'd always have to speak. You have to always have that American accent on the job. Now, the thing is, it doesn't necessarily mean that when you go for a non-voice customer service job, it doesn't mean that language proficiency is not going to play a vital role. In fact, before you even land on the job, usually you get interviewed by the client first. And your client would normally assess you first based on the way you speak, based on the way you introduce yourself. So even for a non-voice customer service job, there is a possibility that they will assess your voice skills, okay, or your voice, or the way that you speak, okay? So, but what are the usual non-voice customer service jobs? So for non-voice, basically, these are jobs that do not require direct interaction or voice. So usually it involves either by chat, by email, by what else? You also have like when you talk about chat, it can be social media, it can be a different platform like live chat options. Okay. Now, also for non-voice customer service, given that you're not gonna need much of your voice, it would require computer skills And of course, still, good customer service skills should be required. You have to understand the basics of customer service to begin with. The way you're communicating with your customers, the way you use your words would be very important, because that's the only way you get to communicate with your customers. Okay. So possible general qualifications, and I've tried and I've actually seen this in some of the job postings, would be, of course, your experience maybe in customer service, live chat, email experience. Some of them need not be voice experience. It can be live chat or non-voice, okay? They would require normally excellent written and verbal communication skills, or rather written, okay? Written communication skills. And sometimes for specific accounts, they would actually require that you have industry experience. Like, for example, if you're going to get involved in an e-commerce customer service position, then you will have to have e-commerce background. If it's healthcare, they may require from you a medical degree or maybe previous experience in a healthcare company, okay? And usually they will require experience from you, since this is a work from home job. They will require you to have had experience working remotely for foreign clients. So it can be US, Australia, or UK based companies. That's a preference from your potential clients. But it doesn't necessarily mean that if you have no experience with this, that you'd never land a client, okay? Now, possible general requirements would be the DISC assessment. Sometimes they would also require your speed test, typing test, and sometimes they would also require some audio recordings from your end, so they can assess the way you communicate, the way you speak, as part of the usual requirements. I mean, I'm not saying all of your potential clients will be requiring this from you, but these are just some of the possible things they may be asking from you, okay? Let me know if these are unfamiliar. Now, in terms of the technical requirements, they may require, of course, your internet to be good enough, okay? It may vary depending on the job itself, especially that some of you will be required to take in calls or make calls, for example. Then you would have to have very, I would say, sustainable and fast internet connection. Some would actually require wired internet connection as well. So it will vary from one company to the other. Even if it's a non-voice account, they will also require that most likely. Now, for your device or your devices, you might be required for something with a processor of an i3 or something equivalent to that. Your memory would have to be at least 4 gig or more or better. And for storage, sometimes it will be 128 gig for SSD and 250 gig for your HD. Now, please don't get me wrong. These are just some of the possible general technical requirements. I would say the specific requirements will vary depending on the clients themselves and the demand of the job itself. Okay. Now, some companies will also, or clients would also be requiring from you a backup device and a backup internet connection, maybe mobile data, just in case that, your LAN connection might fail you, or something goes wrong with your work laptop or your work desktop. Then you might need to have another device that will help you, okay, still get through your day, okay, on the job if you got hired already. So what are the sample jobs that you might encounter that's non-voice customer service jobs? You have your chat support, okay? Chat support will be usually you have live chat systems. And these live chats may be their venue to answer different questions, solve problems, troubleshoot. Sometimes it can be, how websites, they have live chats on the side, right? It's not the social media yet. There are live chat functions on some websites. You get in touch with them and you get in touch with a chat agent who will basically be answering you via chat, okay? Now, generally, this kind of job will require prior customer service experience, so that at least you have a better understanding on how to communicate with your customers, okay? Now, chat agents, usually work remotely or either in a standard office environment. Of course, I know for a fact that in this kind of environment, and the reason why we're having this webinar, you're really eyeing for a work from home, okay, chat support. And nowadays there's actually a lot of them out there, okay. You just need to find the right one or the perfect fit for you, okay. Usual qualifications, these are just some of the skills, and I hope some of them for you are actually self-explanatory. Of course, it would require customer service skills, computer literacy, problem solving skills, organizational skills, and good attitude. Very much expected to all customer service support. So you can be a chat support agent, okay. So some of the requirements, of course, you have your computer. You need to have a software. Now, usually the software, you don't really have to worry much about that, whether it be an email or a chat support, live chat software. Normally, that would be provided by your clients, even your email software services. But if on rare occasions, I would say that you might encounter some clients who don't have that kind of provision. So you might need to, get yourself familiar with the different possible softwares that you might need on the job. Okay. Now, another possible non-voice job, customer service job you might get would be an email support kind of job. And of course, emails versus the live chat. This would be more into electronic email, electronic emails, electronic mails or emails. So people get in touch, customers get in touch with the company by email, and you also respond via email. Okay. There are really some people who prefer to communicate with emails. Maybe they're very busy, or they want something documented, because usually when it's a voice customer service, they unless they get a recording of the call itself, that's the only time they'd have something to document their call. Whereas if you have it emailed, right, it's easier for you to get in touch with them. Email support can also be like, for example, for those tech support who need to reset your password and stuff. You don't usually call, or even you're like for Upwork, right? Some of you, if you have a problem with your Upwork, you actually send them an email. So those people who are responding to you, those are email support people. And you get in touch with them by email. They also reply to you by email. So of course, with that, there are certain etiquettes or communication etiquettes that you have to apply being an email support rep. Okay. Now, what are the usual qualifications that I've seen? Some of them actually do not require a college degree. Some of them require even a high school diploma. These are the skills that I've just looked up. Okay. And of course, all the other same, I would say, qualifications that you have for the live chat also apply for email support. Okay. Let me know if I'm going too fast. Now, for email support, again, you still need your, not just desktop, it can be a laptop, okay? As long as you have a working computer that can support the software that you need for emailing. It can be Outlook, it can be MailChimp, it can be Gmail. It depends on what your client or your customer actually prefers, okay? Now, one of the other jobs that you might also consider, still related with customer support or customer service, would be what we call back office support jobs. So for back office, talking about back office, it's at the back of the office. It's basically, these are the kind of jobs that usually it involves documentation. If you have a front end or a frontliner customer service representative who answers the calls, who answers the emails and stuff, on the back side, there are actually people who are also working behind the back of your customer service representatives. And those are the back office support people, okay? Usually, they're made up of administrative people or support personnel who don't face clients. They can, the kind of jobs that they handle range from clearances, records maintenance, maybe compliance things, right? Sometimes a little bit of accounting. So accounting can also form part of a customer service support kind of role. IT services can also be considered back office support. because they work in the backside, right? Not they don't really interact, let's say, with the customer. So I would say it's more of internal customer service, okay, that they provide within the company, for example. So you can also be involved in that kind of job. So what do you usually need to have for a back office support? Same thing with the email support, a high school diploma or something equivalent. At the same time, you would require communication skills, good communication skills, and somehow an understanding of how the business actually operates. Okay, and then you need to have the ability to comply with procedures in the company, and sometimes it involves deadlines. Okay, the job would actually require you to be able to finish some of the tasks at a given time frame. Okay, now some of the back office functions that you might encounter may be ranging from data entry, forms processing, back end processes. Sometimes they're also involved in social media contents, okay, order taking or processing, web and data research. All of these things happen on the backside, so you can also get yourself involved in something like that. Okay. Now, what are the usual requirements? Now, of course, it will depend on the nature of the job you got yourself into. You would need, of course, a personal computer. It can be a desktop or a laptop, and then a software again that should work in your laptop or your computer. Now it depends. If you're in an accounting back office kind of job, then you need to have an accounting software or something about for time management, or maybe a CRM, any other software. But again, like most other customer service jobs, the software, usually the access or the software itself would be provided by your clients. Okay. Now, you might be wondering why I actually included social media manager, but a social media manager kind of job actually falls under customer service as well, because nowadays a lot of companies get their clients through social media. They also manage their clients through social media as well. So for a social media manager, I would say that they need to manage different social media accounts of a certain client, ranging from Twitter, YouTube, Facebook. It may be Instagram or other social media platform of clients. It can be even Pinterest and stuff. Depends on the customers themselves. Okay. Now it involves a lot of things, and of course, I know there's a separate training usually for social media management, but these are just some of the jobs or tasks that is involved in social media management. Again, because it deals with the customer, a social media manager job can still fall under customer service. Okay, now we'll not discuss everything about what a social media manager does, but somehow if you get to familiarize yourself with the nature of the job, you will still have a better I would say you would still know that it is just like other customer service job in general. It's all about understanding the customers or whoever they need to cater to. That's also the main essence of being a social media manager. Okay. And the ultimate goal of a social media manager is to turn fans into customers, turning customers into advocates as well. So they don't just give you a thumbs up, but they end up loving the kind of service that we provide them, or the kind of, I would say, products that we also provide them. Okay. Usual qualification. These are just some of them: resourceful, passionate. They should also be creative. They should have a can-do attitude, meaning, they might not have as many followers yet, but they will find a way to make sure that they get to have a lot of fans, a lot of followers, and eventually those fans and followers become their customers. They need to be familiar with the industry that your client is involved in, because it's hard for you to create content when you don't even know the industry that your client is involved in. Okay. Now, this would also have some marketing function in it. Okay, so that means that you need to know a little bit of marketing and social media strategies if you want to be a social media manager. Okay. Furthermore, these are just the additional. I would say it's more complicated than most other customer service jobs. They need to have someone who's also data driven. They need to know the insights, They need to know what's the trend that you have with your post, for example. You're supposed to know also how to work with different social media platforms. Sometimes that would also require from you basic copywriting and video creation and content creation. It can be graphics as well, design skills. Those are also part of the, I would say, usual qualification of a social media manager. Okay. Requirements, technical requirements, almost the same as the others, except that, of course, because you have social media involved, definitely your internet connection is a must. You need to have good internet connection that would allow you to somehow be able to update different social media accounts of your clients or your company as needed. Okay. Some of you still don't have questions. Anyway, if you have any questions, feel free to post it in the comments down below. Okay, so I hope you will be ready to take on a non-voice customer service. And I know some of you don't really want voice customer service jobs because you find clients or customers intimidating. But don't be afraid. Some of you may be good with non-voice, but for some of you would really like to talk to people, then you can go for voice customer service. Okay, so for voice customer service, of course, it would require you to talk to your customers verbally, and your choice of words and tone of voice would be very, very important. It plays a vital role in how you're going to get in touch or communicate with your customers. As they say, words are powerful. So how we make use of those words can either make or break a relationship with our customers. Okay. So when you talk about voiced accounts, there are outbound calls and inbound calls. Outbound calls mean we place the call for them, although most of the time we have a system that allows us to just get the call. So it's the system that will dial the numbers of customers for us. Okay, so we still don't really literally dial the numbers, but it's the system that will dial it out for us. For, I would say, old-fashioned ways, then you would have to dial the numbers yourselves. Okay. Now, inbound calls, on the other hand, would be where customers normally call in, let's say, for inquiries about their bills, if they have complaints. So they dial a phone number and they reach you or they talk to you about their specific concerns. So inbound calls, customers basically initiate the calls, whereas outbound, it is the company who initiates the call. Usually, for outbound calls, that would involve sales. So telemarketers will be falling under outbound calls most of the time. Okay. Okay. So speaking of voice customer service, let me know. I don't know what time is it. I think I'm taking so much of your time, but let's try to make it as fast as we can. I hope you're learning something from me. I think the most common voice customer service job would be for a call center agent. Okay. Now, for a call center agent, obviously, you will have to answer telephone calls. Of course, the telephone calls doesn't mean you're going to be using actual telephone. You're going to use a system like phone dialers and softwares that would help you get calls from your customers. Okay, you don't have to worry about the login, for example. Those will be provided by your client, so you don't have to worry about that. You will have certain procedures, I would say protocols that you would answer to answer questions. And of course, part of your job also would be to document, make sure that you have maintain communication by reporting certain problems if needed. Okay. Thank you, Jack. Am I right? It's kind of time, but I'm enjoying actually what I'm sharing with you. So I hope you're really all learning from me somehow. And at the end of the day, our goal is for you to be able to land on your or get your work from home customer service job. Okay. So what are the usual qualifications? Sometimes they would only require a high school diploma. Some of them will have at least 2 years of college degree. Whatever it is, it will be case-to-case basis. There are some stricter call centers that would actually require a college degree from you, especially if you're very specific. Let's say that if you're going into a healthcare company, that would require a healthcare degree or a medical degree. So case-to-case basis. But most often than not, there are some actually, especially nowadays, because the demand for call center agent is just there. It opened up a lot of opportunities, even for those who only have, let's say, high school diploma. Now, it would definitely require a professional phone voice, because imagine if my voice, let's say that if you're going to talk over the phone and you sound like, I forgot who's that actress, but let's say if you have a very high pitched kind of voice, it doesn't sound very professional. Your customers would really get tired talking to you, right? You need to have active listening and good verbal and also writing skills, because even if it requires your voice, you also have to document what happened during the call. So it involves a lot of, I would say, multitasking on the part of a call center agent. You talk, you think, you ask, you read, at the same time you're writing it down, everything, you're doing it all in just a few minutes. Now that would require fluency in the language that you've chosen somehow. I'm not speaking just English, because for example, we also have local customer service who actually need customer service rep. So in those cases, they might not really require you to be good with English. But of course, as I've always told my previous trainees, I hope that if you want to start earning dollars, right, because that's usually what you're going to cater to when you work from home, then you need to start being able to speak fluently in dollars. Do I make sense? Right? So if you want to earn dollars, then you need to be able to speak dollars. But of course, if you want to settle with, let's say, speaking in Filipino or speaking in Bisaya, then you have to settle with the currency of the Philippines, which is Philippine peso. So I leave the decision to you. Whichever you like to earn, then you can go for that. Okay. It boils down to what's your end goal, where do you want to go, and if you know that, then I think you would know what you need to improve on or learn. Okay. Now, what are the usual things that you might need to have as a call center agent? You need to be able to have the ability to ask the right questions, even in, I would say, difficult situations where the customers may be giving you a hard time, right? But you still need to find out what's going on, what's really the problem of the customer. You need to also have strong time management and decision-making skills. You don't have forever, okay, to resolve a customer's concern. In fact, in most instances, you only have a few minutes. Back in the days, our average handling time, the target would be around 3 minutes. And in those 3 minutes, you're required to have opened the call, you have built rapport, you have already resolved the customer. At the end, some of you might even be required to do upselling towards the end of the call. And all of those things happened in, let's say, about 3 minutes or under. Okay, sometimes even 2 minutes or stuff. It depends on the client themselves. I even had an account who, it was a very simple, I would say simple account, because it's directory assistance, but their average handling time was just seconds. Okay, 30 seconds is very long, in fact. Okay, that's how quick the calls are. So you need to be able to quickly adapt, okay, to the situation, be able to listen quickly, and then of course respond accordingly right away. That said, you need to have a good understanding of your company's products, services, policies, everything, okay? Now, of course, you don't expect yourself to master all of these things in one sitting. I think it takes some time for you to somehow be a master or have enough experience. But that's why you have in your product training, you have to make sure that you take your time seriously, okay? Don't take it as a joke. Well, I'm not going to get this kind of customer. No, you never really know what type of customer you're going to encounter. So you might as well be prepared and study all the possible scenarios that you might encounter if ever you become a call center agent, okay? Now, as a call center agent, when you work from home, unlike when you work in an established call center or an office-based call center job, they would be providing to you everything, okay? Now, for you, if you start working from home, it would require you to provide everything instead. So from your computer, from your headsets, from your virtual dialer, although the virtual dialer normally is provided by the client, okay, even the credentials, that would be provided by the client. Your internet connection will be care of you as well. There are some generous clients and companies who would actually give you a subsidy for your internet connection. So if you're lucky enough, you might land on an employer who will also be providing to you your internet connection. So that's good. Okay. Now, another requirement that you might need to have, it's not really part of the technical requirements, would be to have a quiet background if you're into a call center agent kind of job. Some clients may be very sensitive about, dogs barking or babies crying or rooster, whatever, all sorts of sound that you might encounter during the call itself. Okay, people, when customers call into the customer service hotline, they're thinking that their number is the number that they dialed is linked to an office. Okay, little do they know that they're actually connecting it to some remote place here in the Philippines. And in fact, some of your clients will not allow you to disclose where you are located. Okay, I've had some clients before who will not allow you to disclose where you are located, even if somehow the caller that you got has an idea that you are from the Philippines, because they know that the customer service hotline of this company is outsourced somewhere in the Philippines, for example. Even if you get to talk to a Filipino who is based, let's say, in the US, you will not be allowed to speak to them in Filipino because, of course, you have to be professional as well. Okay? So, what are the usual requirements? These are just some of the examples. Some of them might also help if you also have your own Microsoft Office or Adobe Acrobat Reader, because you have to document some stuff. I'm not so sure, however, but I think most of the time, every software that you're going to need will also have to be provided by your clients. Okay? Sometimes for your headsets, by the way, you might even be required to have a noise canceling headset or a software also for voice canceling. Okay. I would say, based on this research, I would say that the 1 gig RAM is actually very low, but you might still encounter a few that might just require a 1 gig. Usually now it's about 2 gig or 4 gig actually. Sometimes some of them would even require 8 gig. I think it boils down to the kind of software that your clients would require from you. Okay. Now, sorry, I forgot to take out the audio there. So another possible job that's still related with voice customer service would be what we call appointment setters. Okay. So for appointment setters, these are, literally speaking, people who set appointments. Okay. Now, usually this is to provide support to a company's sales team. So they have a sales team and they have their prospective clients. Now, these salespeople are very busy, and they prefer to talk to actual clients during an appointment. Everything is set, so they can't do the scheduling themselves. So they need appointment setters to do those appointment setting for them. So they are the ones who would be calling prospective clients and set an appointment for them to know when is the best time to talk to a sales team or the salesperson. Okay, there. So sometimes you see this, let's say, for real estate appointment setters or any other companies who have, I would say, big sales team who cannot do the appointment setting themselves. So they would hire people who would do it for them. And some of them might require a high school diploma or something equivalent to that. Again, it's a case-to-case basis. Sometimes some would require previous experience as an appointment setter or something similar to that. Now, if you are working in a corporate job and somehow you have a similar job experience, you can also have that included in your profile. Okay. Of course, it would require some computer literacy also from your end, good verbal, written, and interpersonal skills. Because imagine you're setting an appointment. If you don't know how to relate to other people, I don't know how you're going to be able to set the appointment properly with your customer or your potential clients. Outstanding listening skills is a must in this kind of job, because if you don't have good listening skills, you might end up, setting an appointment on a Monday when in fact the customer said Monday evening, when in fact they said, let's say, Monday in the afternoon, for example. That's just that's an exaggeration, but it can be possible, right? So attention to details may also be very important. Clients may have specific requests that the sales team would have to take note of. And I would agree that somehow, clients can be turned off if the appointment setter or the company somehow forget some details that are very important or something personal on the part of the customer that were simply, left off by the appointment setter. Okay. What else? So for the appointment setters, obviously you need to have excellent phone etiquette. You need to be professional. You need to have courteous disposition. You have to be persuasive and results oriented. So it's all about being able to successfully set an appointment with a customer. And sometimes this would also require to be available to work on evenings and weekends. Now, when you talk about evenings and weekends, that's basically evenings their time. So meaning that might be morning our time. The main reason behind that is because sometimes some of the people that the sales teams are getting in touch with that they need an appointment with are the ones who are also working in during the day. So you get to talk to them only after office hours. Okay? Let's see. Okay, what are the usual requirements? Same thing. You have a laptop or a desktop or your computer, and then you have your headset. You need to have stable internet connection, obviously, because you're going to be placing in calls. You're going to have to use a software that would allow you to dial the calls yourself. So you need to have something. If you notice, almost all of these jobs would require almost the same technical requirements. So you usually it will require i3, at least maybe 8 gig or 4 gig maybe at the minimum, but usually 8 gig is sometimes required. Some might even require a working webcam if your clients, the nature of the job would require you to do video calls instead. So again, it's case-to-case basis, okay? Sorry. Okay, another one would be outbound sales agents. Speaking of outbound, it means that it is the company who initiates the call. Usually, this would be associated with telemarketers. Okay, when you say sales agent, it means that you are going to place the call to make a sale or offer certain products to different types of customers. And remember what I told you earlier when I started, exploring the world of working from home. One of the jobs I got was for an outbound call representative, but I didn't stay that long for that position because the company I was working with just so happened they also opened a analysis kind of job, and I applied for that. But the client later on asked for my resume, and she found out I have training experience, so she got me instead for a corporate trainer job. But I think I never really knew that my short stint as an outbound call representative for a short time will actually be something very helpful in my current freelance opportunity with FH Mom. So at least you'd have an idea that how it works. So during that time, what I would normally do is log in at night here, Philippine time, because the clients were Americans in the US. Okay, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, the clients, if I still remember it correct, because that was like more than 2 years ago. Okay, they were mostly from Michigan, if I'm not mistaken. So there. So for an outbound sales agent, it involves us or you as an outbound sales agent reaching out to potential customers. You offer different you offer different products to them. Sometimes it may also involve doing research or survey, product survey, customer satisfaction surveys with your different customers as well. But basically, when you say outbound sales agent or outbound call agent, it is the company who initiates the calls. Now, when I say the company initiates that, it doesn't mean that you literally dial the phone number yourself. They usually have a dialer. They use a dialer to dial the numbers, and then the calls just come in naturally in your system. Okay. Of course, you're gonna be using your computer. Okay. Now, what are the usual requirements? Almost the same. You have your high school diploma and or something equivalent to that. Some may be very critical. Some of them may also require some previous sales experience because it is a sales position. So sales is something, it's a talent also, right? Now, it would involve good interpersonal skills, definitely, because you cannot really sell to people when you don't have good interpersonal skills. If you're a loner and you don't want to talk to people, you're going to have a hard time selling anything. Okay, you need to be proficient with computers because you need to have certain, you know, documentation also involved in that. You need to be fluent in the language, your chosen language. It can be English or certain specific languages, which I will also show you later on with actual job postings that I saw from, I think it's mostly from Upwork. Okay, some would also require, because outbound positions are normally more aggressive than inbound calls. So some clients would require that you have at least a year experience in the call center industry, but not all would require it. Okay, some would also be okay with no call center experience but have sales experience. Okay, now it's all about leveraging on whatever work experience you have had so far. Okay, and how you, I would say, brand yourself or position yourself for your clients. Okay, you have to put your best foot forward and make sure that when you get an invitation from the client, you really make the most out of it. Okay, now what are the usual requirements? You have your desktops or your laptops. You have your headset, and you might need to have a teleconferencing service or software, like something like Skype maybe, or some other software. Okay, usually again it is provided by the client. Internet connection. Now, in rare cases, they might need you to have landline phone services. Okay, but that's very, I would say, very old school. Okay, I think that's very rare, in very rare occasions, really. Okay. Now, speaking of the technical requirements of your software, pretty much the same as the other requirements for call center agents, right? Um, they usually prefer Windows operating system only because most softwares are more compatible with Windows operating system. I'm using a Mac, so initially when I used that one, I had a hard time with some of the softwares I need to install. So it's up to you. You can still use a Mac, but some people prefer Windows. Okay. So I hope with that you will be ready to start taking on a voice customer service job. In customer service 101, we don't just talk about the job itself, but we make sure that we prepare you for the job. And I think one of the most exciting part would be part of the week 1 lessons on language proficiency, where we dissect everything about accent training. We're going for neutral accent, so we talk about pronunciation, we talk about intonation, we talk about liaison, and of course we also have a review of grammar. And everything happens actually for just a week. That's the expectation, but of course we understand that some of us are busy moms, of course, and it takes time for us to complete all the. I require trainees to submit recordings, and from their recordings I give them feedback. I dissect every sound that comes out of whatever they record, and the idea is, of course, they're gonna be practicing and practicing, and as they start applying the tips I give them on certain specific, I would say specific areas of opportunity, then eventually they improve better. And I am very happy to share with you that everyone in the customer service 101 training, I've seen how they've improved, I would say, drastically, from the first time they introduced themselves during our orientation to the last part when they had to give me their final voice. Actually, it's a video recording of something. Okay, it's something that I asked them to record as part of their pre-test and also their post-test. Okay. Okay. Do you have any questions? A lot to take in for tonight. I know it's very late, but let's proceed with the last part. So how much do you earn? For this part, I'm going to be sharing with you actual job postings that I saw in mostly Upwork, okay? And they've also indicated how much are the rates. So it varies depending on the scope of the job itself. And you'll be surprised that not all of the job posting I featured here are, I would say, specific to the English language. So meaning there's a possibility for you to actually get something like this, okay? So this is an actual job opportunity that I got somewhere. I forgot where I got it. Okay, so even virtual assistants can fall under customer service as well because it requires some calling sometimes. So the rate for this kind of job is $4 per hour. Okay, $4 per hour. Of course, if you're going for Upwork, there are certain fees, or other platforms. There may be fees involved aside from your it's you don't really get to have the whole $4, but not bad at all. Okay, I think compared to the minimum wage here in the Philippines, you'll go far if you go for something like this. So in this kind of job posting, you can probably take a screenshot or something, and you can see also the usual requirements. These are actual job requirements for one of the posts I saw, and they were very specific about hiring people from the Philippines. Okay. And then this is another one. For this one, it pays $3 to $4 per hour. Now, part of when you look into Upwork, they would also indicate there the level of experience and value that you can give them. So for this particular client, they're looking for a mix of experience and value. But this is something that's not really so far based on experience. It's not entirely just for I would say English language, right? In fact, it would require that you know another Philippine language somehow, because that's part of the questions. You will be asked to answer which Philippine language do you speak. So I would presume it's someone who needs an additional dialect, maybe. So, and they're very specific about Filipino customer service representative. So this might not really require you to speak in English all the time. Okay, so this is chat support, by the way. Chat support plus being an all-in admin secretary. So you do more than just chatting with customers. Okay, you also receive orders, send emails, and all that. And I think it's relatively okay for $3 to $5 per hour. Another one is telemarketer. So remember we talked about the outbound calls, right? So telemarketers also fall under the customer service world. Okay, and in this case, they don't just require Filipinos or prefer Filipinos. They also prefer Malaysians. So somehow this is available. This posting is not just available here in the Philippines. In this case, they require 5 to 10 p.m. Work. So it's very specific, right? In this case, you have the hourly rate is surprisingly high, right? At $8 to $10 per hour. I don't really know what they are selling. Of course, you're gonna find it out once you once you get interviewed by the client. Where apparently it is for insurance appointment. So I don't know what kind of insurance they are selling. Okay, and they give you additional compensation for every appointment set. And of course, if a sale is closed, then you get additional as well. That's usually how it is anyway for telemarketing or sales related kind of jobs. You get compensated for closing sales, or setting appointments, right? Because the setting of appointments is one step closer to closing sales, right? Okay, another one. This would be for a Dutch e-commerce company. So obviously, this might require not just customer service skills, but also a background on e-commerce. By the way, when I looked for this job postings, I was specific to Filipino. So you can actually use that when you look for a job. If you're not really confident dealing with foreign clients, you can use the word Filipino as a keyword. So of course, it would only show up or it would only show you job postings that would have the word Filipino in it. It can be in the description, or it can be in the title or the job title itself. So in this case, they get this job posting. You get a fixed price of $500 as for the compensation. And this is an e-commerce kind of customer service role. Okay. So you need to somehow have an understanding, not just of customer service, but also e-commerce. Okay. There you go. And apparently you need to be good with English and Filipino. So it's not just about the English language. So that's $500. Additionally, these are the requirements, responsibilities, and benefits. there's a lot for this particular job. I don't know if it's available in Upwork. Okay, I got this from Upwork. Now, I don't know why, but sometimes the shorter ones would have lower rates. So for this one, it's $400. It's still not as bad, right? If you compare it, especially with our minimum wage, for example, for some of you who are just starting out. In this case, this would be for an Asia-based retail store. I don't know what that is, but you will be provided training in the tools anyway, so that should be good enough. But apparently for this one, good command of Filipino is a big plus, right? So when you talk about customer service, it doesn't necessarily mean it's just involving foreign clients. So it really is up to you who you want to cater to or who you're willing to cater to, okay? So these are the job requirements. So at least you have an idea. There you go. Sales related job again. These are for outbound calls. In this case, the client was looking for a mix of experience and value. Now, in this case, you are required to provide. It's very specific in the requirement that you need to submit a voice sample. Okay. And you get an hourly pay plus bonus per sale. I think that's very common for most sales position anyway. Okay. Another one here. This is an actual job posting. Again, it's not just customer service. You also have online marketplace administration. So you need to have a bit of, I would say, e-commerce now. But in this case, somehow, it on the notes part, if you notice, it says there that the client is actually looking for someone who is not, I don't know why, who is not a Japanese citizen. So I don't know why he specified that. I forgot if this client is based in Japan or what. I wasn't able to take note of that. But in this particular example, the customer is, or the client will be giving you a trial period before being considered for a long-term contract. Okay, so this is customer service plus administrative support job for the online marketplace. Maybe it's actually related to e-commerce as well, right? So with that, okay, I'm opening the floor for questions. Actually, I prepared some more slides, but I think I'm way beyond the time I initially committed to. Those are additional topics anyway that I added onto my topics. So do you have any questions? Okay, let me go here. Because the rest of this deck will be all about hiring requirements. Maybe I'll just go through it anyway before you go ahead and ask me questions. So you have a checklist here. I think these are common knowledge, supposedly. What are the things you need to submit or comply with, right? Your resume, your online portfolio. Almost everything requires, of course, internet connection if you're going to be working from home, preferably wired. Your equipment, whether it be your computer, your headphones, documentary requirements. Tests will vary depending on the client. For your typing speed, you can check it out as early as now and try it with typingtest.com. Internet speed, you need to be able to test your own speed test by going into speedtest.net. Sometimes some clients would require you to actually do the test real time during the interview. So you can't really just have, several screenshots of fast internet connection and then submit the best one. No. Sometimes they would ask you to run the speed test online while being interviewed. They would actually have, they would ask you to navigate through and show your screen to them. Okay. You need to know your computer specifications. If you're doing a Mac, you need to know how to get the computer specs like this one. Or if it's Windows, you need to be able to distinguish what are your computer specifications as well. What's your operating system? What's your memory? What's your stuff like that? You need to know it. You need to know it not just by heart, but you need to know how to show it to your clients. Okay, that's part of the technical requirements as well. Now, if you will be applying for a customer service job, you would normally be required to submit a cover letter. And in that cover letter, it's important you somehow are able to demonstrate your experience. Highlight your soft skills, like maybe listening and conflict resolution in your customer service. You know, the listening and the conflict resolution sometimes can also be part of the way you're composing your cover letter based on the requirements. Sometimes in the job description, customers will actually have specific requirements or specific instructions that you need to incorporate in your cover letter. So you need to make sure that you cover that. You also need to have hard skills, software, hardware also. You're supposed to be familiar in for a customer service job. Okay? And with that, you should be ready for your interview. And with your interview, make sure that you've mastered, not really mastered, but maybe reviewed the job description. And I would suggest from your end, as early as now, even if you're not yet applying, I would suggest you run through the inventory of your skills and experiences. And from there, you can start matching your skills and experience to common jobs that are available out there, so that somehow you will have a better chance of landing a work from home that's fit for your skills and experience. The thing is, sometimes sometimes it's very tempting to just apply to any job out there that's work from home just because you wanted to work from home, but you forget somehow to leverage on your own skills and unique experiences that may actually be very helpful for your I would say, let's claim it, your future work from home. Okay, so with that, again, I'll go back here. I hope you have questions. So let's go back if you have any questions. I think we can go back to the main screen now for StreamYard. So I don't know if there are some who actually have questions. So far, I think they said they don't have any questions. So let's stop sharing the screen. Any questions, guys? I'm very happy that some of you are telling me it's very informative. That's the main intention of this free webinar anyway. I know there are still a series of free webinars from Mommy Haiti. I think Mommy Haiti is scheduled tomorrow. And she'll be discussing almost the same topics, from myths and facts and rates and opportunities involved in ESL teaching this time. So, and I think Mommy Christine is also going to have one for virtual assistants, general virtual assistants. So anyway, looks like there are no questions. You're also quiet. So I hope that's an indication somehow that you're learning from me. And I'm really hopeful that, at the end of the day, you get to land on the perfect job that's fit for you, fit for your skills, and fit for your experience as well. I know it's not, especially if you have already work experience, sometimes it can actually get in the way of you landing the perfect opportunity, only because you have certain preferences, or I would say filters, right? Unlike if you don't have any work experience, you're kind of like a sponge. You're ready to absorb every kind of job available out there. But I also don't want you to somehow disregard whatever work experience that you have. There are, the one thing I like about working from home that I've learned is the fact that there are so many industries when you talk about working from home that all of these jobs, I was so surprised that it's the industries and the nature of the jobs actually are anything under the sun. So there are small businesses who are, I would say, Kickstarter kind of companies. They're very innovative with their products and services. And you might encounter some of them as you start applying for a work from home. Okay. Loud and clear, got the webinar. Thank you. That's really our intention. Kailan po ang start ng course for November po? For November, if I'm not mistaken, hindi ko po alam. I'm sorry. I'm gonna be posting it down in the comment section, Mommy. I don't know for November, but if you are planning to enroll for October, I know they've extended the enrollment to Friday. Tama ba ako, Jean and Will? yung tatandaan ko is up to Friday. Na-extend ata ang enrollment for training. So if you're gonna be enrolling, ang alam ko lang po is for October. For November, hindi ko pa alam yung dates ng ano. Pero normally, it starts around first, mga ano, hindi naman siya saktong November 1 magsisimula, no? Tsaka parang pangit naman tayo magsimula ng November 1. Pero nagtagalog na ako, di ba? Usually it starts mga second week po ng month. Yan. Like for my current class po ng, what's this, for Customer Service 101, they will be graduating this Monday. Sa Monday, October 12. Yan. Kasi we wanted to make sure, kahit sakop na namin yung 4 weeks ng training, I wanted to make sure na meron pa kaming extra week for them. Kasi di ba sabi ko nga, it's 4 to 5 weeks, no? So on the 5th week, we need to make sure lang na they got all of the lessons. And I think ang pinaka-ano ko talaga doon is that they're ready to start applying for a customer service job. I'm really happy na may mga iba, kasi yung iba sa atin ngayon ng mga enrollees are scholars. So some of them would be interns with FH Moms. But yung sa first batch ko, I'm happy to share na meron ako naging training na first week pa lang ng training, ano na siya, tawag dito, nagkaroon na siya ng internship opportunity. Hindi niya pa ako nabalikan if she got hired na. But somehow, sabi nga niya, it's because of the training somehow na nagkaroon din siya ng courage to start applying. Kasi parang, I know for a lot of you, just like us naman, lahat naman tayo, we started from somewhere. We all started from scratch, right? A lot of us don't really have any idea how working from home actually works. All the more, how do I look for a job that's perfect for me? So it's really helpful if you somehow learn from, different resources, tune in to different free webinars that's out here. One thing I learned as a freelancer, I've tried several jobs actually po as a freelancer, no? I've tried being an ESL teacher. I've tried being, what's this? An outbound call representative, an email support, a trainer, ang tawag dito, a PowerPoint designer, a training program designer, ghostwriter. Madami akong ginawang trabaho, no? And I've also explored different stuff from, part of, parang improving my skills, having my own Facebook page, just so I know, kasi that's one of the things that you also need to understand as a freelancer or when you start working from home. In your own little way, there are so many things that you can actually do to help somehow equip yourself para magkaroon ka ng portfolio, para when the time comes that the perfect opportunity comes for you, you are more ready, I would say, because you already have a portfolio. Plus, hindi man siya very extensive experience, but you still have experience to back you up. So if there's any way for you to start creating your own Facebook page, just to have your own portfolio, create designs out of Canva maybe, or what else? Upload different things, no? Para lang meron kang portfolio of stuff. If you can afford to have a website of your own or a blog site of your own, go ahead and do so. So you can also parang have a venue for you to practice your writing skills, right? Okay, may mga tanong. Mami, how do I pronounce your name? I think it's a nickname, no, Mami. Sabi mo, doing well with your talk. I'm so interested. Either non-voice or back office support. However, still can't find the courage how to start. A mommy of a 5-year-old here. Actually, you know what? I started out in the BPO industry. Siyempre, hindi po work from home. Kasi nung panahon na yun, hindi pa naman masyadong, I would say, booming, no? Ang working from home. Mga back in 2000 po, medyo matagal na. No? So my son at that time was about, I think, 2004, 3 years old, no? So medyo struggle. Pero how I wish nga nung time na yun, meron ng ganyang opportunity. Pero mami, you know what? Since sabi mo nga, if your kid is just 5 years old, no? I think a non-voice job can be, lalo na kung malikot yung anak mo, a non-voice job might be perfect. At the same time, part ng inaaral natin sa customer service 101 is sino ba yung potential na mas maganda maging client mo. Kasi you also need to be able to distinguish saan ba ako mas tamang magtrabaho. Should I work with American clients? Should I work with UK clients, Australian clients? And there are many factors why you need to somehow filter that out, no? Kasi yung time zones nila. So that would also mean your work schedule, and of course, part of it would be the culture of the people that you're going to cater to. No, so those are the things that you need to consider. Now, tama naman, lalo na kung may mga bata kayo na medyo, I would say, medyo ano pa siya, demanding, no? Lahat naman tayo dumaan yan bilang mga moms, no? I would say sometimes perfect talaga yung non-voice for us, no? Kasi parang hindi nakikita ko ano yung nangyayari sa background, no? Pero, and there are so many out there, you just need to, mga moms, ang suggestion ko sa inyo, the first thing that you need to do is look for job openings. You don't necessarily have to apply right away. I would suggest just look for job openings lang muna to give you a feel of what are the available postings and which ones are you more inclined with. Okay, and then after that, para dun nyo rin parang i-customize yung profile ninyo, no? Kasi mas mahirap yung parang yung at a loss ka talaga na parang clueless, tapos kahit ano na lang na work na makita mo, mag-a-apply ka na lang for that one, okay? Mommy Jules, you're asking, do you still offer scholarship and what are the requirements? As far as I know, for now, parang wala. But I'm very sure that Mommy MK and the rest of the admin team will be announcing it in our Facebook group kapag nagkaroon na po tayo ng scholarship. Abang-abang lang po kayo, lalo na ngayon, mga Burmans naman na tayo. And since we are growing and we're also, getting support outside of our community, no, I think we should leverage on that. So magbantay-bantay lang tayo kasi yung iba talaga kailangan mabilis lang din, no. Nung nagkaroon tayo ng scholars back in August ba yung una? Yung August, no? Kami mismo ni Mommy Haydee pumili ng mga scholars namin. So, magbantay lang din tayo na, for those opportunities. I'm very sure na you will get the opportunity for you. It starts, nakinig na nga kayo ngayong gabi eh. So, I think that's one step closer. It already, parang feeling ko, you cannot really unhear or unlearn what you have learned tonight, no? So, dyan na yun magsa-start yung curiosity ninyo. Ako, dyan din ako nag-start before. I may have a different intention by then. Yung objective ko before was just to take my mind off of the pressure nung job ko. Kasi napagod na ako sa puro reports to the president and stuff. Parang sabi ko, ayoko na nito. Gusto ko pag-uwi ko sa bahay. Wala na akong reports na iisipin. So, maghanap ako ng trabaho. Diba? Mag-calls ako, kahit mag-calls ako, okay lang, para lang maiba yung ko. And then, I started also writing. Sabay-sabay yung na ginagawa ko before. Pero, now, I also learned na talagang ang love ko po is training. So, medyo nag-concentrate na ako sa training na trabaho. Whether it be corporate and working from home or freelancing, training na talaga yung puso ko. Doon na talaga ako. So, ayan. So, ako ngayon, meron akong corporate job na work from home and also mga freelancing na work from home like this one. Okay? Ano pa? Any other concerns? I don't get to see all of your comments because some of you might be commenting in YouTube, right? I know si Will, yung ating sa staff natin ng sa admin team natin ng FH Mom, si Will at saka si Jean are also watching out for comments from other venues natin kumbaga ng pagba-broadcast. Hi Mommy Jackie, is there any construction engineering related na online job? Mommy Jennifer, wala pa akong nakikita exactly kasi ang credentials ko are not related to construction engineering, tama ba ako? But you know what? Since dyan ka nagsimula, I would suggest try to look up for job posting with those keywords themselves. Kasi dun mo lang malalaman kung meron talagang related. Now, some of them may not necessarily be customer service. It may be very technical in a way, na talagang engineering talaga siya na trabaho. There might not be as much, but there may be a few. Kasi nung nag-start po ako, by profession, I am actually a registered chemist, but I never really got to practice because nag-progress yung work ko sa training. Pero ngayon, sa trabaho ko, nagagamit ko actually siya. Kasi pharmaceutical company eh. So, I do training and then I also employ, yung sa chemist side ko, no? So, nung nagsisimula ako ng freelancing, I also tried being ang tawag dito, chemistry tutor. So, pumasa ako sa isang platform. May test sila for that one. Kaya lang sabi ko nga sa inyo, when I started out freelancing, gusto ko lang naman ng less pressure. Ayoko na, let's face it, ang chemistry can be very pressure. Imagine nyo, 3 minutes, platform, magsusolve ka ng problem. Mga estudyanteng nag-subscribe sa services ng company para mag-solve ng mga different chemistry problems. Parang sabi ko, I didn't want that much of a pressure for an online job. So even if there are openings na ganun, hindi ko na rin siya pinato. So, Mommy Jennifer, I think there should be some. It may not be exactly the same as what you're looking for, but it's a good start if you start looking for that keyword. Alam mo, yung isang ghostwriting job ko na nakuha before, ang hinanap ko na keyword actually is Christian because I wanted to look for a Christian-related kind of job. And so to my surprise, there are actually a lot of, so you may be a bit experimental on the keywords, and on those keywords that you're going to look for, dun mo i-link siguro yung klase ng trabaho na gusto mong makuha, no? And then from there on, dun ka mag-build ng portfolio mo. Ayan. What else? I learned a lot from you on this webinar. I'm a returned OFW and willing to apply for online admin customer service. Yes, Mami, alam mo, lalo na ngayon, I think I would say sometimes yung may pros and cons yung pandemic, ano, kasi the pandemic actually forced some of our OFWs to go back, but I think yung opportunity also na-open din yung opportunity natin to work from home dito sa mga bahay natin, ano. So we can start leveraging on that. We can start exploring that option. Maybe kasi nung back in the days nung nagsimula ka pang mag-OFW, hindi pa siya ganun ka ano no ka palasak. And because it's not as common then, parang most of the people that you know are also OFW. So parang automatic options na if you're looking for a higher paying job, that kumbaga your option would be to work abroad, no? Pero kasi sa atin, case-to-case basis yan. I mean, I'm all salute talaga sa mga OFWs. Kasi ako personally, I'm a solo parent by the way. So sa akin, it's not really an option to work abroad. Kasi parang sa akin, if ever I work abroad, I'd have to take, at that time, buhay pa yung dad ko, I have to have my dad, I have to have everyone in the family, my aunts, my son. So medyo komplikado yun. Parang hindi na rin ako nag-work abroad, diba? Kasi dala ko lang sila, nag-migrate lang ako somewhere. And I guess siguro may opportunities naman kasi dito lang sa Philippines and okay na ako dito. Ayan. What else? Thank you if you found this webinar great. I really appreciate that. That's the main goal. And if you because of this somehow nagkaroon din kayo ng opportunity, feel free to share that with us sa FH Moms community. FH Moms is all about encouraging one another kasi. No, lahat tayo bilang mga nanay. And I guess yung mga iba nanonood na hindi naman mga nanay pero na-share sa kanila. We all have our own struggles. Some of these struggles are brought about by our corporate jobs, yung restrictions ng working in the corporate world. I personally have experienced that, yung traffic, yung lahat-lahat ng yan, ano. And those are some of the things na, when you start working from home, you get to avoid. Kasi ang sarap din yung pakiramdam nun, yung bagong, kahit nakapambahay ka pa lang, no, na pagkagising mo, pwede ka na magtrabaho, yung ganyan. Hindi ka na mag-worry na 1 hour, babiyahe ka pa or magdadrive ka pa, papunta ng work, ganyan. Okay. Ano pa po? Just keep the comments coming in. I know it's been a very long, a very long webinar. It's supposed to be just an hour, pero I hope you learned a lot for tonight. And if ever that some of you will think of questions pa, feel free to post it in this same thread. I know we're showing up in the Filipina Home-Based Mom Facebook page and also the group and also YouTube. And then I also shared this in my wall. So, ewan ko lang, pero wala naman nag-comment sa wall ko at saka sa Facebook page ko. So, I guess okay lang yun. Anyway, siguro, for now, I hope you learned a lot. So, kung makikita nyo, nakakapag-Tagalog naman din ako at saka sa normal na pagkakataon, nagtatagalog po talaga ako sa bahay. No? Pero pag kailangan sa trabaho, ganyan din po tayo sa trabaho bilang customer service representative. If we have to adjust ourselves accordingly, because remember, the main point of our jobs would be our customers themselves. So if they speak in a certain manner, then of course, dun tayo a-adjust. Do you have a certificate dun sa free webinar po? Wala tayong free certificate, pero dun sa training natin meron tayong certificate of completion. Yung meron tayong certificate is yung free webinar na binibigay ni Mommy MK on how to start working from home. But for this one specifically, wala po. This is just a free webinar na ino-offer po ni ng FH Moms actually. I am an OFW and a single mom too. I am looking for an online job aside from ESL teaching. Been to BPO for more than 10 years po. You know what? Your experience is more than enough. You've had 10 years of experience in the BPO industry. I'm very sure you will be able to land on a job that's perfect for you. All you have to do for the first part, I guess, is to explore, sign up for different platforms that are available out there para, tawag dito, doon kasi nagsisimula yun eh. It will strike your curiosity. And yung mga pinakita ko sa inyo na job postings, those are actual job postings that I saw from mostly Upwork. Okay? Kasi ako, personally, sa Upwork ako nag-work kung nag-ano man ako. Pero yung iba kasi mostly na meron sila sa online jobs. May profile din ako doon, pero hindi ko kasi kayang sabay-sabay na marami. No? So, since meron nga akong corporate job pa na work from home, tapos may freelancing pa ako, natuto na rin ako na as we age, hindi na natin kayang mag-multitask na sobra-sobra. So, I had to start selecting, parang ma-trim down din yung ibang mga ginagawa. Siguro if I was younger, I could do that. Yung mga may tanong pa nung isang araw dito sa isang Facebook post na parang kaya ba yon na mag-transition? Yes, kaya siya, pero you have to know what your limitations are in terms of the hours that you can render. Whether it be you end up having 2 full-time jobs. I've actually experienced having 2 full-time jobs. Kaya lang na-compromise yung health ko. So I had to give up 1. So, yun. Siguro sabi ko nga, if I was younger, I could have probably easily done those 2 jobs. Isang corporate, isang work from anywhere kind of job. Pero hindi ko siya kinaya. I think kasama siya sa pagtanda. Yun lang. Okay. Any other questions, comments, concerns whatsoever? Will, Jean, are we good? Parang wala naman na atang comments, no? So, ayan. Lahat ng bagay pwede pong matutunan, no? So, it's all about, bilang tayo mga nanay, marami naman kayo naman, di ba, na nagsimula din kayo sa pagiging nanay, marami din kayong hindi alam. So, trabaho, ganun din po tayo. Okay? So, it's all about your will talaga to improve and to learn more. And for sure, you will be successful in whatever endeavor you're going to and get it yourself into. Now, should you be interested pala to enroll in our Customer Service 101, you can also follow yung isang post ko nung isang araw. Nandun na rin yung procedure. You can log into the platform of or our platform, and then from there may mga instructions naman na on how to proceed with the enrollment. You can also send a message to our FH Moms admin team para to inquire more about the enrollment. I know it was extended until Friday. Today is Tuesday, right? So, pwede pang humabol yung iba nating mga mommies in case you're going to enroll in Customer Service 101. Okay? So, with that said, I hope it has been a very productive Tuesday night. I know it's kind of late, but I hope you learned a lot. Pwede nyo namang balik-balikan tong webinar na to just in case po may mga iba na hindi natin, kumbaga, na-capture. Okay? And that's it for tonight. Have a very good evening and God bless us, everyone. Stay safe and see you all next month, I guess. I don't know. I think I don't have any free webinar this month anymore. Next month na po tayo ulit makikita sa mga free webinar natin. So, good night, everyone. Have a great day and God bless you all. Bye. Stay safe. Bye-bye.
Every mom has her own struggles. For most stay-at-home moms, aside from the random feeling of insecurity about not bringing home a paycheck, they struggle with never-ending household chores and errands. Working moms, on the other hand, also have an occasional feeling of being not good enough, because even though they can help with the financial needs of the family, their work sometimes hinders them from spending time with their loved ones in return. We are moms like you. We understand all these, but the question is, why choose when you can have both? Be a work-at-home mom and enjoy bonding with your family without compromising your household finances. FH Moms is here to help you jumpstart your work-home career. With its fast-growing community of Filipino moms who are either aspiring or already working from home, partnered with its goal to help determined Filipino moms land a home-based job, you'll surely get the help that you need through its tools, guides, and advice readily available for you. Are you ready to work from home like us? We're here to assist you every step of the way. Check the Filipina Home-Based Moms page or join the group for more details. FH Moms. Moving forward, giving back.